This is the Rails, I didn't write down the number, 800 and billion something new social environment. It's our 147th Wednesday poetry reading called I Am Path, and it's curated by Kaur Alia Ahmed. We're so lucky to have you here, Kaur, along with Adrien Howard and Ricky Sallay Zoker. Yeah, we do these every Wednesday. It's an hour reading, a nice poetry lunchtime break. So thanks for being here. I'm gonna turn it over to Kaur, but before I do, I wrote down a couple things about Kaur's poems. And I find Kaur's work to really be a material surprise. I find it boundaryless in its imagining, and it's intimate as it is mysterious. And I'm just such a fan of your work, and everyone's here. So thanks for joining, and I'll turn it over to you, Kaur.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And thank you everyone at the Brooklyn Rail for inviting me to bring together writers for a reading. I'm really grateful to Ricky and Adrien, who both are special friends of mine and people whose work and hearts I really admire. Ricky and I met a few years ago in Brooklyn, where we both had work in a screening at Power Plant. And then Ricky put my work in another screening at the Silent Barn. But I don't know, I'm just really happy to have continued to have Ricky in my life and watch their work grow and change, and they're endlessly inspiring. I love to laugh and read with them. And Adrien I met this summer at Bard and was so taken by his tone and his reading and how much he offered his way of thinking to us in his poetry. And I thought it would be nice to have them both read together. They both have a really special quality of writing together, love and pain with a big sigh of humor. And they tell the big truth that happens every day, I think. Yeah. Are we going to do bios or
Oh,
should
do that. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
I forgot. So we have here Ricky Sallay Zoker, who is a multimedia artist and composer. They create installations and performances using writing, technology, and sound. Ricky has presented work at MOCA, MOMA, The Shed, and the Getty. Their music has been featured in publications like Pitchfork and The Wire, and they are a former artist in residence at Pioneer Works and the Helene Wurlitzer Foundation. Adrien Howard is an artist and poet living on the west coast of Scotland. They work both independently and collaboratively in an interdisciplinary way to produce writing, books, projects, video, and sound. And Kaur Alia Ahmed is a writer and artist living in Brooklyn, New York. They make videos, drawings, poems, and plays. Their work has been shown with Interstate Projects, 77 Mulberry, Alyssa Davis Gallery, Rhizome, Bomb, I think Base Journal, and his book's coming out from Wendy Subway soon this winter. So definitely look out for that. Okay, pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna read a few poems first. This one is an old one that I used to read a lot, but I'm going to bring it back. I am perched at a bus stop where 5111-23 will not respond, nonchalant, and I take time to sip the air of pause and calculate my own game of monotony. Finding stark faith amongst the youth, at play, pushing paint, never receiving. Our new friend asks if I am a power sub. I yell no. Sand coats the motion of my most tender channel of adrenaline. Must romance only jolt into the frame in bursts, only stand under golden light. The right edge of your cheek, saturated peach cocktail, suddenly vibrant and hard inside styrofoam. Deeply dappled contrast. A cup dependent on crumbles, dependent on the hug of dots. We depend heavily on gas for motion, rest, for love, for laughter. Nothing solid has ever supported me. To weigh heavily on something decides its shape. Seal soup in Pyrex and silicone decides its only purpose is to be reportioned, reheated, to get dizzy and bland. I like to imagine how expansive and free-limbed my soup could be if poured upon the floor of a yoga studio. Crimson, fatty droplets pinching into each other. Bay leaves, charred chilies, butter beans, beets, peppercorns, ground beef, rolling freely, playing as if I created my own tasty aquatic society. Saltwater, full-bodied, eventually seeping into the edges of the mirrored walls, astonishingly infinite. The ultimate stretch. Liquid, the Kundalini champion. I read a wise thing that desire exceeds any container, or I just can never find the matching lids. A gruesome, hopeful part of me believes in the validity of hypocrisy. My coworker described the life of a white man as a genre. I wonder what nonfiction looks like through light-colored contacts. Behavior listed as a medical issue on the health form, something contagious. At times I feel proud to experience bouts of mania, like anything is possible. Music becomes perplexingly close. My sideburns furrow, flows in the wrist. Then, ripped from the minute, my surroundings weep. A pale orange evening. Bracket your cheeks with my wet eyes. Pillow, pillar, plucking my velour string of longing. Brent grapes, sleeping grapes, resting plums, snoring blueberries. Sleeping blueberries, resting grapes, snoring plums, sleeping bumbleberries. A lance in my side, bleeding. A number for a mouth, never doubling over. What would I want wings for? At this point of sight, there's a nervous wind tower, unmoving, purpose planted in clay. A long gust reflects the stream, shifting only thinner. Looking at it through a clear engraved clock face, no hands, chronology begins to loosen up. A fissure, a wall, formerly toned matte gray, coated now in high-gloss resin, its core erased by unfolding. A room takes print of what it faces. Frills ironed on the cotton setting, pressed out. Standing on the exact same spot at the exact same time. Among everyone on the dance floor, someone dripped the ends of their full-bodied movement into the crook of my neck. Spinning yells, field on steep angle, sharp plastic, drawing blood on lips, the flaming rock, my echo of your gushing love words to me. In this thick weather, all droplets are rendered the same, my disbelief protected by the flattening. Feet without shoes, soaking the floor's ice of summer. All matter in seconds. Pine needles sprout from my fingertips. A thin gauze grows over low limbs. Vision in semi-colors. Fear, syncopated. Maybe when you fell out of it. Fissure, recalibrated chatter, failed airplane, hemorrhage, sweat in the eyes. Then kink and self-hatred were image. The color of magic is always transforming, but I mostly think of it as purple. I met someone who ran a science podcast and made an episode on color. She said purple isn't real. There's no actual wavelength for purple. Red and blue are far from each other on the circle of sight. She knew someone named Sheila from middle school who had 2 extra cones in her eyes so she could see more colors. More complicated colors of blue, and she said that when she came outside, she'd be able to see the stuff coming out of the sun like texture. I wonder if it's like the breath of the sun. Lucky to be able to see that. Hay pulled up by the sun expressed slow flecks of gold wafting over. Apparently she was really mean. What does it mean to see more complicated shades of blue? Certain tiny shrimp can see billions more colors than us. What if God suddenly granted me a different color every time I do something good? That's how I thought it would work when I was little. When purple bursts out of the ice at the spring equinox, a breath close to the ground rises to gather a memory. Seeing the crocus as a surprise, it's like someone calling to someone outside, and it is just a blurred word. A wind chime swaying just slightly, the eyes of a ceramic animal knowing still love, a car's hum leaving the street. In transmutation, the space between me and myself is precisely the space of echo. It's a repetition of the same that is also always different, a call to the same self. I was watching me move from chrysalis into moist lava, wings slowly shrinking back scorched. There's latency, then following that a return to the earlier stage, corresponding to a death or an unbirth, as if it were possible to return to before and revive. To know might kill it. I fall down a hole, but the fall is oddly horizontal. The scream stays beating in my chest. Echo disembodies themselves in a scene of reactionary dispossession, alienation. Almost dead and almost alive are equivalent. Being over you and all over you feels the same. Reverberation expresses almost sound through silence. Without a body, echo expands and spreads through the world. She lives in forests, rocks, trees, and caves as resonance, voice, and vibration. The fluid serves as a cushion. The skin begins to split. The exoskeleton hardens, curling back upwards, swallowing air. I might have told you I was guided. Drew a set of drawings last spring, filled a whole pad. Felt my hand guided by a force, shapes and visions, haptic pitches, my hand skating on the fog. A song unfolding as I moved through and with it. I was convinced it was a divine intervention. I went to trees and bathed in a stream, pushed a car out of the mud, fearing time running out. I was high and I was manic, dipped every finger into candles. Found myself biking through the city a couple 6 a.m.s in peach light, mapping birds, finding centrifugal force in every circling. I hadn't slept for days, but that reassemblage is not nothing. We move through the divine anyway. That's it for me.
Hey, thanks, Kaur. That was really great to hear you read again. I'm just going to read a couple of poems. I'll keep an eye on the time. This first one's called Possession Wisp. 1. There is a house, and below its foundations, a cat's claw, a man's nail, a cow's hoof, all unnamed. Part of the house, windows, walls, and roof are in ruin, wide open, so air, clouds, and other matter have become domesticated and worse, in part, horribly deranged. 2. There is a painting, and the theme is fruits and other vegetables. Paper on its condition notes exit wounds on the frame from woodworm or such other wood-boring beetle. Through lack of being able to reach out and touch the fruit, they hone their capacity to bite deeply into wood. 3. There is a person, and they are, as if discarded carrier bag, spirited, winded, pressed, then spontaneously adrift. All possible bodies, formless and full of air only. This one's undecided on the title at the moment, but often or time's wife. As girl often got up ready to meet the day, latterly spent time steadfast sitting, looking, pressing fingers into skin, but what came first too often was unknown, depleted now, though made bloodless. Older again, but not yet restored, time spent turning, not turned or turned, away from being organised by her sexual organs. As alternative, often grew a sense of herself, which of course to others was taken for folly, inevitable all too often, and so took to sudden quick movements with no obvious intention, often settling for those with whom she resided, which means to say, her brothers, sisters, her family. She is becoming tired of the constantly ornamental company, often gets ready to leave the line, steps out, then, often in time, will inhabit two bodies, one with its back turned and the other still becoming, so, ontologically speaking, often cannot exist, but at the age of 15, lying on her side, often presses a hand to her eye and sees the ghost. Now later in life, often alone and departed from the girl that once was becoming, and still not yet restored, her friends who have been brought about again through this sense of herself inside a house. One morning often awoke to shocking daylight of the curtains flung open by her mother. Won't you get up, go out, often play with other children outside, often it's all I ask. Yet another day spent inside of herself, like every other young woman of this age, even then, even now, even so often, she became not afraid of what might be done, doing, done and undone again. This one is untitled Tempera on Wood. Two hands holding a section of water, better yet, a pair of legs hollow in the sand. Better still, a torso ending in leaves, to be complete, only expressed in many parts. This one is called Sociality of Animals. We are a family of young animals. We're just ideas of boundless anatomy. I want to talk to you about this and only this, forever. I'm going to know you for a long time. One heartbeat is a large number, followed by a smaller one, and so on, all falling towards a tradition within the collective emotional sphere. In one poem, Bernadette Meyer describes the first time one of her lovers expressed the desire to sleep with her and her other lover, that they all sleep together. In the poem, she can be private and social at the same time. In the poem, I am embarrassed. This poem is called M or M. What did this to you? This is a poem about the letter M. In a park near my house is a pitch and a track tiered concrete, all ming in empty stadium for standing or leaning over into. Concrete which becomes hard over time. Yes, I hear what you're saying is a fact of concrete is that it's just hard. But by this, I mean to become hardened beyond basic properties in a way that only things can be made hard over time outside. Where mosses form in damp, shady places for them, perfect. Concrete being porous, meaning open to change. Moss is non-vascular, meaning without roots, and so given the right conditions can grow anywhere, that is to say in only specific places, sewing itself onto structures, small threads. A biology meets a chemistry to make a trendy new sofa, a velvet green cushion. You saw it here first in the park down the road. Curve of shoulders and flat-headedness, unremarkable uniformity, slim alloy, legs set into ground, M, bent in order to make language from wrought material, bent by the will of meaning before it has been forged and set in stone. And it shows how one thing can be another, how one rigid thing can become M, where I, for example, only works in vertical lines. M is a letter for reclining on. It's also a symbol for the 8th astrological sign, deriving the Scorpius constellation, M meaning water, meaning moon, meaning feminine, meaning masculine. But I bet it means everything else too. Metal and cement, both archetypal materials, which are open to change. One foot in the past and one in the future, waiting on next letter to make language. M is the first letter of my brother's name, and there is not a single one in mine. Now, the stadium, we uncover the skeleton of a word, a legible glyph scrawled on concrete. Large M, small m, large M, small m, 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 M. They say it's called graffiti. Letters are compound and stars are large explosions far off, which ultimately one day will be gone. Tell a friend tomorrow. They won't believe me though. I can hear the water, or maybe that is the sound that metal makes when it resonates. The song it sings to the ear is the part of the body most commonly associated with listening, but the ear makes a sound of its own listening. Listening happens elsewhere. This one is called Heavy Metal Works on Me. Newborn lamb screams the extent of life. Electricity cables hum only meters above our head. We don't share a house, instead only our connective tissues, especially the ones between our articulations and, yes, sometimes the bed. Coldly roll my body away. I can't get the dream to go far enough to see the moment when we play out all the irreversible processes at once. You say, let's go there, friends do that for each other from time to time. What a relief when the computer comes up with error. It's what you do with that which counts. When you get annoyed, your words fall off you like heavy metal. There are 4 separate jars of mayonnaise in the fridge. No one likes it that much for real. You read me a poem by, do you think that line is kind of dumb? On YouTube, we watched a montage, cat pic, dog pic, sea otter, bunny. You said you don't eat anything with a cute face. Not kidding. I asked, what about me? That's what we do. Dinner. Every meal I've eaten until now. Pointless. Weighted blanket, sensory D. I don't like noise, and sometimes your snoring is like heavy metal. I am ecstatic with the what have, some say, like guitar solo, so low, so perfectly structured. Oh, I'm in heaven again with big fat fingers picking steel strings, 4 paws across click-clack floor. Went out today, trod in dog shit again. Why I ought to, oh, be in heaven again. Find the line in the poem that says this. Find the line in the poem that says all this. Find a poem with only the outtakes. A poem that comes on only after the credits roll. And oh, I'm in heaven again with all the windows open. See you after, where we can get together with my elements and measure what kind of satisfaction we get from this sort of exposure. I cannot continue in these conditions or climax even. It's just all too much. I haven't made the bed in like forever. Instead, only cell death and dysfunction. Oh, it's going to break the speed of rapid steel supply. So quick, don't go. Joining no groups. I make all my decisions without enough information. I go out to work, I come back again. I go out to work, I come back again to find more jars in the fridge, including one you labelled with, do not eat, smiley face. I'm so susceptible to this kind of antagonism, a lack of immunity to your little acts of kindness. Next door, cat, not come home, think we all know. What woke me up was counting atomic numbers, followed by the drip, drip, drip. And then I've just got one more very short one, which is called Notes. Notes. Blow only sharp ones in between my ribs, meaning often my body rising from the bed, along with the guttural reverb or poem as heartburn, and all the insufficient values, or some icky syllables fused together for the good of nothing else. Of all these instances overnight in the dream or the poem as migraine aura, you wake up with one and not the other, where I am so sensitive even to all of these moments we're accruing elsewhere. We have thought all this before. Yes. That's it. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for bringing us all together. All right, I'll get straight to it. The first one was named today, and we'll see if it stays. Nature consolidates intrusive thoughts. Today, Solomon arrived. I told him time is white. He told me New Orleans is biblical. I said Revelations. I was in Houston. There are so many bayous. They throw catfish in the bayou to fish the catfish, but not to eat it, just for sport. They say the river of Euphrates has dried up. What does that mean for the rest of us? Water is turning red. People say it's the end times. Mothers feed children water lilies in southern Sudan. Beauty becomes function. Their land is getting smaller and smaller. And soon we will all search for water or it will swallow us. Catfish, water lily. The birds in the trees are saying, go home now before it rains. If that's true, that means I'm God's child for real. He's got his hands up like a conductor until we behave. He's got a pause on the finch's symphony. Imagine a busker at the edge of a sewer, white locks like a crust punk, sound moving present day waste, praise the poop and say water lily. Bayou brain, suburban creek, swing set bars hanging like a life could be lost right here off of Plantation Drive. I'm never without a quartet of ducks walking around, acting busy in the periphery. I move like a northeast switch up and they scatter. Alone again, the birds left. I hear thunder every time I text you. Southern crazy is a whole different breed, sludge and sticky hair full of arguments. Okay, so there's mustard gas in Ohio. When I went to the bayou today, I smelt something like it. Eco-paranoia, conspiracy as prophecy. I need some water. So I'm gonna give a little bit of context. I lived in Altadena, California for a while near the mountains, and someone down the street from me won the $1 billion Powerball at the gas station I went to every day. And that haunts me. So this is kind of mentions that. Okay. Winning. Oh, American Psycho's winning grin. Winning like Patrick Bateman on cocaine with the green ink of the stock market rising like it's the Joker's blood, high pressure, high-pitched dial tone, bing, bing, bing. Made it big at the Powerball down the street in Altadena. Now he's got that easygoing, never worn a backpack smile. He's rich, nothing to carry. Kanye carried his laptop all willy-nilly, no case, no bag, just vibes. Okay, so the next one, so I love the word winning. And I started loving it in 2011 when Charlie Sheen was having a public meltdown and he kept saying winning all the time. So I'm going to read a few lines from that interview where he began his winning streak. Some are saying that you're bipolar. Wow, what does that mean? I guess that, you know, you're on two ends of the spectrum. Wow, and then what? What's the cure? Medicine? Make me like them? Not gonna happen. I'm by winning. I win here and I win there. Now what? So that was February 21st, 2011. And then my poem. We win by winning, bipolar, winning, Charlie Sheen, winning, Britney Spears, winning, Kanye West, winning, track to success, run, jump, suspended like namesake until break the record, winning, yata. Yata means I won or I did it in Japanese. Okay, this one's not named, but it's just things I needed to say. Excellent Black athletes win the right to be human. Excellent Black musicians win the right to be human. Spinning like records, flattened out and extracted, break the record, excellent. Oil, this is a new poem. Oil drips and is what we are to this earth. Black like oil that makes minds act in squares. The more you build and construct, the more your brain cells resemble an Excel spreadsheet. Black like oil, extract, compress, energy, siphon, release, excel. Next poem. Henrietta Wax. That feeling when the complexity of Blackness is the only way to get to newness, when the wax of records is a transference tool. Does playing records backwards reveal spells that could reunite our fractured parts? Oil drips and is what we are to this earth, part 2. At the gas station, down the street, the earth tells me that oil is evil alchemy. Extraction like black goo drips and compresses to form records that tell me why I was afraid to play them backwards. Heavy to hear the songs of forlorn laborers from Motown to men bent over along the Mississippi. Okay, this one is, I'm gonna take a breath. Time zones tilting between coffee and oil, between diamonds and limbs, between Bow and Freetown and Firo and outdoor showers where water falls and laughter rings and secrets flow from there to here directly through dreams and dancing, I swear. Here we have boxes, grids, Monday through Friday, containers to make us tick, talk, right, and step with what is required to survive. Over there, time slides, greasy but not with worry, a tilt of the axis, and the Western world would join island time. MST, CST, EST, PTSD, DMV, CSA, SSI, DSM, HIPAA. Let's see. Okay, this one's called Bliss. The bliss of mania is being drunk on the infinite. My teammate, the dentist's daughter, her teeth are ringing with ecstatic levity. Helicopter mom circling and grinning and bearing it at the sound of each thump. Tumbling sounds like heaven, hail, or rain. There are no Africans here. Fake eyelashes, foundation, and red lipstick, sparkly belly shirts, mouths shaped in AEIOU for points. Cheering is manic. My mouth like a ring light, like a baby who just found out about loss and said, oh. The Altadena Mountains for Al Young. These reminders of who's boss, Altadena Mountains capped with gray, blue matte, and maybe green up close. And all that time Butler was out here studying, did she look up while her mind traversed dimensions untapped until her arrival? Did she drive or walk? I bike. I ET float because God knows I am not walking all the way up there. Come home, take a break, hear the neighbor's pirate radio sneak into my house, frequency matching the channel that leaks in and communicates through psychosis. Always listen to the man in the plaza with a babbling brook for brains, screaming and singing the underbelly thoughts that we are afraid to utter. You're all gonna die. Do you ever think about death? Bike through the mountains and turn the radio off out of respect. There are more important waves floating in and out of us, mostly through us. That might be it. I think that's it. How long did I go for? I can't tell.
Keep going if you have
Nah.
go for it. No, good.
I think well, why not? I'll read a couple more.
Yeah.
Been alone for a little while. Let me talk. Okay. It's getting to the thick of winter and I can feel the pressure to be new. It's like God has a finger on me, a thumb. I want to pop out of my skin, revealing the next iOS update of myself. I want to tell all of my secrets. My head hurts because I have so many. What are my secrets now? 1 redacted, 2 redacted, 3 redacted. Do not Control Z. Okay, I'll end there. That feels better.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Adrien and Kaur. Wow, too fast. It went by so quickly. That was amazing. Thank you all so much for reading. Yeah, this is still being recorded. So there's we have a YouTube channel and a website where you can see the whole thing if you missed anything. And then let's see, tomorrow we have a talk with The Kitchen featuring Robin Farrell, Allison Bernstein, and Charlotte Kent, with poet Kai Inns closing us out. Next Wednesday is a reading with David Larson and Tanaya Nasser Frederick. And I think, yeah, that's it. Everybody can unmute if you want to say hi and bye. You can turn your cameras on if you want, if you're decent. Thank you again.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Kaur and Adrien and Ricky. Those were amazing.
Yeah, thank you for organizing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Great
so
reading.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ricky and Adrien.
Thanks for nice to
Thank you,
meet
Ricky. Thank you, Adrien. Thank you, Kaur.
Thank you, Kaur.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Woo.
Okay.